I was just having this conversation with my dad because I'm applying to internships for the summer at the moment. And my dad has a sentiment that I have sort of latched onto, especially now. And it's that internships are about, investing in students. So if a business is truly investing in me, they are creating opportunities for me to grow and to learn.
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Troyer, and welcome to another episode of Show Me the Nuggets. Today, I have somebody joining us that's quite literally like just down the street. What's up with all the Ohio guests lately? But it's my cousin, actually, Madeline Weisburn, and I'm super excited to have her on the call. She's a marketing student at Walsh University, and we're going to be talking about how marketing agencies can create a flourishing internship program. And I had having her on with us because Madeline's actually taken part in a couple of different internship programs, and I really wanted to be able to pick her brain, and obviously want to be able to share each and every one of you guys how you guys can do the same. So without further ado, Madeline, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, glad to have you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You're obviously a marketing student at Walsh.
Yeah, I'm a junior honors marketing student. I have minors in corporate communications and history. I'm super involved on campus. I am the director of community engagement for our innovation center called The Garage. I'm president of American Marketing Association. I'm members in countless other clubs. I work as a tour guide on campus, and then I'm also a marketing intern for the Career Center. And I've done some past internships as well that contribute to that. But yeah.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about why you chose marketing as your field.
Yeah. So I was in a really unique position. In high school, I took a career and college readiness course my senior year. And basically the course was I went to class on Mondays, and then Tuesday through Friday, I was released from school early. And I could go out and job shadow anybody I wanted in any industry. And so you got your credits by going out and experiencing and job shadowing. And I did everything you could possibly think of. Like I went from teaching to, more business stuff like consulting and HR, and then I jumped into a marketing job shadowing experience at a local hospital. And in that role, I was just kind of like, okay, this is home. This is like what I want to do. I want to be around people. I want to help communicate content in a really relevant and interesting way for people.
Nice. What are some of your favorite parts in marketing? Obviously, there's a lot of different types of marketing. There's everything from copywriting and design, and then all the mediums and everything in between. What are you really attached to or drawn to in marketing?
Yeah, I like market research, sort of the back end stuff. And I also like a lot of strategy stuff. So the beforehand, creating your marketing plan, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Cool. That's awesome. So you talked about some of the organizations that you're involved in. Obviously, you listed off quite a few. Can you talk about some of your key responsibilities in those?
Yeah, so the Garage is probably my biggest responsibility. I'm the director of community engagement for them. And the idea behind the Garage is that a lot of big businesses got their start in a garage. And so we help connect student entrepreneurs with resources in the community to get their ideas up off the ground and running. And so my role kind of looks like running the website, creating site visits for students to get off campus and go see what is happening in the community. I run a book club, just engaging with students in every way possible, and then using my connections and my network to create a network for them.
That's awesome. Cool. So how many internships have you been a part of so far?
I've done 2. So my first one was at LED Transportation. I was just a general intern for them. And I was hired on. They had a couple projects they had in mind, and then they sort of had me do a survey of their social media and what they could possibly do in the future. It was kind of a project-based internship. So once I completed all the projects they had, I was done working for them. And then I am currently a marketing intern for the Career Center on campus. So they hired me and they're like, every other office on campus has social media and we don't know what to do. And I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of run their social medias. I create flyers. I help connect students with information.
Awesome. So if you guys can't tell, Madeline is super switched on. She's somebody that when I think about you, I think about, man, like I would love to draw talent like you into one of my organizations because I know that you would fuel growth to a whole nother level. And so when I was thinking about running this podcast, I'm like, man, I know the audience would love to find talent like Madeline that is overachieving, doing really well in class, but also in all these other organizations and in these internships. And so I'm super excited to hear from your point of view. What are the things that would make you interested in working inside of a specific marketing company's internship program?
Yeah, I was just having this conversation with my dad because I'm applying to internships for the summer at the moment. And my dad has a sentiment that I have sort of latched onto, especially now. And it's that internships are about, investing in students. So if a business is truly investing in me, they are creating opportunities for me to grow and to learn. And it's an experiential learning process. We talk about how there's all kinds of learners in the world, the audio learners, the visual learners. When it really boils down to is that everybody's an experiential learner. Sure. And when I walk into an internship, I want as many opportunities as possible to be as hands-on as possible. So, I don't want you just telling me about the projects you do. I want you to actually have me working on them and then give me constructive criticism on how I can grow my work and what I'm doing and how it provides value or if it provides value kind of thing. So, when we look at marketing agencies and what they can do for their interns, the hands-on element's really critical, how you grow your customer base, that kind of thing. Sure. Experience.
Yeah. So I think, at the end of the day, I think probably most marketing agencies would be really excited about working with interns because it's free labor, right? But you got to know as well that it's an exchange, right? It's that there's a reason that you would be willing to do that, right? And it's because you're going to get the learning experience. So obviously, like you said, you got to be hands-on, you got to give them a good experience. You got to make sure that it's something that I would have the goal that, Madeline, it would be something that you'd be excited about and be so thankful for the opportunity that you're going to go back and tell everybody else at Walsh, so that hopefully next semester I get a whole slew of interns wanting to come and apply.
Yeah. And I'm always really hesitant about like employers who see me as free labor or like cheap labor, right? Because like I know my value to an extent, right? Like I may not have the same level of experience as everybody else on the team, but I'm providing a really youthful perspective on your marketing and what you bring to the table. So that's still value. And, obviously you're not going to pay me the same as anybody else, but I still hope you heed what I bring to the table.
Sure. Yeah, there's got to be value there, obviously. So I'm curious then, let's dive in a little deeper there. Of the internships that you've done so far, have they been paid or non-paid?
Paid, all of them.
And is that normal? Tell us more about that.
It really depends. I will be honest, I'm a broke college student, so I'm not gonna like go seek out internships that aren't paid. I can't afford that. So like I think that's something that most students look for, is that your internship's at least paid. And, it depends on what kind of internship you're looking for. If it's a nonprofit, it's likely that it's not paid or it's paid minimum wage kind of thing. And, honestly, like my one at the university, I'm not paid a lot for it because it's a university job. So I have to find other ways to get value from it, but the money piece is important. And I would say, I don't know, it's real hit or miss. If it's a remote internship, a lot of times they won't pay for it. Sometimes they offer like some sort of scholarship deal with it. just depends.
So if somebody decided that they did want to pay, what's a good pay rate? Like what's the going rate, or what would you be happy with, or help us understand like what your perception of that?
Man, that's difficult. I personally don't look at anything that's below like 12 or $13 an hour. And this is really dependent. Like all my internships have been remote. So I've been willing to take a little bit less money because I'm working from home and I'm not having to travel and I'm not having to pay for housing. So like, if you're having to do that, then you're looking between the $15-20 range for
Sure.
that.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So it seems like with most internships that they're classified into kind of two different types of relationships. It seems like either kind of longer and kind of almost ongoing, almost indefinite until you're like, I'm done. And then other ones seem like they're much more organized and they're more like, they're for a semester, let's say, and they kind of have a
Mhm.
curriculum for the semester. It's a little more organized, and then like you're done and you move on. Is that right? Is that normal?
Yeah, no, I think there's almost three kinds of internships. So there's the project-based ones, which was like what I did at the transportation company, where they have like a really specific thing that they're hiring you for. And in that case, they were hiring me to work on their veteran certification. And once I helped them get their veteran certification and sort of market it, I was done working for them. So there's that kind of internship. Then there's the one where it's like time bound, like you're saying, it's, for the summer or semester or whatever the deal is. And then there's the ongoing ones where, sometimes the time bound ones can turn into ongoing ones where they'll hire you for the summer and then they'll be like, actually, would you like to stay on remote for whatever? And then they'll end up hiring you afterwards as an actual employee. So it just depends on what you're looking for from it. The time bound ones often lead to jobs afterwards. So those are really good options, especially if you're like a junior or senior, because you are looking for a job.
Sure.
But the project based ones are really great for experience, especially if you don't know what you want to do. So it's like if you go into an agency and you're looking at a bunch of different agencies, like one that specializes in SEO, and you go in and you work on a specific SEO project for them and you sort of see that thing, and then you go in and you help work on a marketing plan for another company. It helps you see a bunch of different projects. So that's kind of a cool thing about those internships.
No, 100%. I think if structured correctly, I think those time bound ones could be really interesting because, like you said, they allow you to see a specific aspect of the company kind of from start to finish. And it would be really hands on. So when I was thinking about internship and how to create one, I was thinking more along those lines, like almost you come into a division, you work the division for a semester, and then you move to a different division so that you can really give the intern that learning and hands-on experience. Otherwise, it's like, come in, yeah, work on this little thing, and then hopefully next week we'll find some work for you, and then the next week we'll decide. Like, I would want to make sure that the intern really gets a lot of value out of the program.
Yeah,
Otherwise, kind of what's the point?
right. I mean, the best internships are the most intentional ones, both for the employer and for the student that's learning from them.
I've heard some horror stories. I was looking up some YouTube videos of internships, and it seems like one of the biggest issues is that there's no like central point of contact for the intern, and it's like, hey, just come to this department for the day, and then the next day, oh, are you available? Come to this department. I'm like, oh man, like they don't know who they're reporting to. It's just kind of you're just on call for whatever anybody wants. Have you been in any of those situations?
Yeah, I have actually. And it's more apparent in like really small businesses where there's like very few employees. You don't really know who your like boss is, kind
Yeah.
of thing. So that's weird. And then like I'd say another like horror story moment is like remote internships are sort of hard to track work and like when you should be working and how much you should be working. So it's really important, especially if you have remote interns, to set expectations about like you're going to be on at this time or for this many hours a day, and like actually track it. Like, I could see on all of your like Google stuff and whatever you're using, when you were on and when you last edited and that kind of thing. So, just being really aware of your usage and that kind of thing. I don't know. It's all over the place.
I can see that 100%. Let's talk about time a little more. What's a realistic time commitment for a marketing agency to ask for from a marketing intern?
Over the summer, full time.
Yeah.
I honestly, and this is just like, so I don't have to have 5 jobs over the summer. I look for full-time positions over the summer, and you could realistically do like 2 part-time things and then have them add up to be a full-time position kind of thing. But it's easier to just have one.
100%.
During the school year, I would say like 20 hours a week is probably maximum that I'd be willing to work as an intern, just because, class and whatever.
You think that that's normal, or do you think you're overachieving a little bit in that sense?
Probably overachieving. Probably like 10 to 20 hours is realistic.
Yeah, I was thinking, 10 or 15 hours, but I think 20 could be pushing it. But it depends on your course load, obviously, as well, and lots of other things.
Yeah, Walsh is in sort of a unique position. We're on 8-week terms instead of 16-week semesters. So it sort of makes your schedule kind of wonky. Like last 8 weeks, I didn't have class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I had class all day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I had class from 8 to 5, but then Monday, Wednesday, Friday was just like free work days. So that meant, you can do internships for longer periods of time and that kind of thing. So it looks different for me too, just because of the unique setting my university's in.
Yeah. So what I just took away is like, really, you should be tailoring your time commitments to the intern, right? I mean, if you got that program and you have all that off time, but it's very specific, if they can cater to your schedule, obviously you could give them a lot more than if they couldn't, and it was a really rigid program.
Yeah. And some of the best things, that I've experienced, like when I was job shadowing in high school, that VP of community engagement, that one hospital, she would schedule meetings during the hours that I was there because she knew I could come and sit in on those meetings and hear what they had to say. And that was good because she was like scheduling the time that I could be there and not just like filling me in the afterwards. So that was neat.
How often in your different internship programs do you feel like you've gotten like really good hands-on feedback from your coordinator or the person that's, in charge? I like the laugh there, by the way.
Yeah. I think it should probably happen more often than it does.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty proactive person. So like if I'm seeking feedback, I'm going to ask for it. In my experience, it's been, just like whenever I ask, which is pretty often. It's probably like once a month. I would say quarterly is probably expected if it's like a full, like if you're just like doing it all year round kind of thing. Over the summer, this might just be like a weekly 10-minute check-in, like, hey, how are you doing kind of thing.
Of the different internship programs that you've been in, the 2 different ones, how many other interns were around?
None. I'm the only intern and I was the only intern in both those positions.
That's interesting. Do you think that's normal or abnormal, or it really just depends?
I don't know. It depends on, I think it depends a lot on how big your business is. The transportation company was pretty small. They only had like 6 people on their admin team. Like they had other employees, but they were actually drivers. So I'd say that's probably typical. It just depends on the size of your office.
How'd you find those 2 internship programs?
I do a lot of digging. So the transportation one, I was looking for internships last year and somebody from the Career Center reached out to me and she was like, hey, I heard you were looking. Here's a project-based one that just kind of came up on my radar. You should check this out. And that was because I was connected to my Career Center at school. So definitely do that if you're a student listening to this. And then the second internship, I actually had somebody approach me about it. They work at Walsh and she was like, hey, I think you would be a great fit for our department. And what you do and what your goals are. So I think you should apply. And then they basically just gave me the job as soon as I walked in on that day. So both unique scenarios, but I've helped friends look for internships, and those we use an app called Handshake. It's kind of like the LinkedIn for college students. That's kind of what I call it. There's a bunch of employers on there. It's not as social media based. It's more about finding jobs, but recruiters can reach out to you on there. You can get messages, you can research companies, that kind of thing. So it's super helpful. LinkedIn's a great place to look. I haven't used as many job sites. Those seem to be more like for full-time positions rather than internships. But
so if I was a marketing agency wanting to get an intern or more than one, you would say it sounds like the Career Center, Handshake, and LinkedIn would be kind of the three big areas.
Yeah.
Perfect. And you said that you're looking for an internship now, right? You said you were talking to your dad about that at the beginning. What are you looking for now in an internship?
So I'm sort of looking at bigger companies right now. I've had 2 internships that were largely driven by me. And by this, I mean, I came in and they sort of had an idea of what they wanted me to do, but they didn't really know. So I created the work that I completed. And I'm sort of looking for a company or business that has an internship program. They know what they want me to complete. And this often means that I would end up working for a bigger corporation, which, is not something I want to do long term, but is a valuable piece to see, especially if I'm going to go work for a marketing agency someday. Having that experience really feeds into that. So when I'm looking for internships right now, I'm looking for places that have programs, are going to connect me with other interns, especially if they're from different places, will help me grow as a learner, and then maybe potentially offer me a job at the end of it.
You're a junior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting there. You're about to graduate. You got another year left. So what kind of career are you looking at? What do you think you'd like to do?
I think ultimately, like someday I'd love to own my own marketing agency.
Interesting.
Yeah, but until then, I'd love to work for a marketing agency or work in market research. So it's kind of open.
When you talk about market research, what do you mean by that?
It can mean a couple of things. So I enjoy looking at how consumers behave, especially in specific environments or in relation to different stimulus. I would like to lean into that, but this could also be like any sort of analytics, search engine optimization, any like information you pull in that influences your decision making. That's considered research. So I'm sort of interested in the back ends of that.
That's really cool. Yeah. In terms of SEO, I keep hearing you talk about SEO.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've been really interested in lately is leveraging consumer research to create reports that essentially are for SEO. Like the sole intended purpose is to get other people linking to you, right? Because of the consumer research, because it's a statistics, because it's a survey, because they need that content for their website, for their content, and then they cite it, they source it. And you get credit for it. So something super interested that I'm super interested about, definitely consumer research.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world's interested in it right now. Like the whole data analysis, like if you are unsure of your major, just go into data analytics. You'll have a job when you graduate. But yeah, everybody's interested in that right now.
Yeah. Consumer research, consumer surveys. Yeah, for sure. Good stuff. All right. So, Madeline, this has been awesome. I know that for anybody looking at building out an internship program, I know this has added a ton of value. If somebody wants to connect with you personally, where's the best place for them to do that?
LinkedIn is awesome. Facebook, Instagram, any of the social medias I'm active on.
Cool. We'll link you up in the show notes. In wrapping this up, I like to ask all my guests one question. Instead of asking you to recommend 3 books, I do something a little different here on the podcast. I ask, what's the one book that's made the biggest impact on you and your journey thus far?
Oh, wow. Man, I listen to a lot of audiobooks and I read a lot of books. Most recently, the book that's had the biggest impact is probably Intentional Integrity. It talks about building workplace culture and how you can do that, not just based on your position, but on your attitude that you bring into the office every day.
Perfect. That's a new one. I love it. I'll have to link it
Yeah.
up in the show notes. We'll put it in the show notes for everybody. And Madeline, thank you so much for coming on. This was super awesome. And we'll have to have you back on again in the future.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
See you, everybody. Joe Troyer signing out.
Thanks for tuning in and Show Me the Nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.